I am John MacDonald. I live in Canada, and before I get underway with the presentation, I would like to share a joke with you. What would you call 4 politicians floating at the bottom of the ocean, that is, floating lifeless at the bottom of the ocean? Let's take Harper of Canada, Obama of the USA, and Netanyahu, or Netanyahu, that Israeli murderer, and whatever the English fellow is called, I think his name is Brown. So what would you call or refer to those 4 guys floating at the bottom of the ocean? You don't know? It's a good start. Well, I don't have good news for you, and I wish to share this with you, but apparently Canada now has a new Prime Minister, and his name is Benjamin Netanyahu, or Benji Netanyahu. Depends on how much you like the guy. I despise the bastard, period. And I hear that the USA has a new president, and his name is Benji Netanyahu. 2 days ago, on the net, news came to me, and perhaps to millions of people, that the Canadian government, for some particular reason or other, decided to expel the Iranian diplomats back home to Iran and recall their diplomats. And I wondered what that was all about. In other words, they were closing their embassy in Tehran and ordered the Iranian embassy here in Canada to be closed. Harper, of course, you know, Harper's very good at deceiving the public. Almost as good as George Bush. Maybe better. But he gives this limp excuse that, well, the British embassy was attacked, and therefore we have to take care of our Canadian citizens, so we must recall them home. And also warned Canadians that may be living in Iran to leave, and those that are thinking of going there to forget about it. I was befuddled because Iran has done nothing to us. It's done nothing to anybody. Then he comes up further with another limp excuse that Iran is using anti-Semitic rhetoric. Well, for a long time, anti-Semitic to me meant anti-Jewish. That's what I believed for many, many, many years. Then I decided to look up the meaning, and I found out that if you are anti-Semitic, then you don't like anybody in the Middle East, period, because all the peoples of the Arab world and the Judean world are all Semitic. Now, of course, my mind jumps into thinking that Iran has done nothing to anybody, has threatened nobody, so why on earth would he do such a stupid thing? Well, he has done many stupid things, and he has gotten away with it. And what I thought was that Netanyahu, the guy that runs things in Israel, wants to start a war with Iran. And he's been saber-rattling, shouting his mouth off. This guy, by the way, is not mentally stable. In fact, his whole cabinet, the bunch of thugs, are not mentally stable. They are killers. They are murderers. And this Netanyahu wants to begin a war with Iran. And he knows quite well that if he starts a war with Iran, and he's not backed up by the mighty USA and Canada hanging and tagging along, and Little Britain, well, they probably will last about 10 minutes in that war, because Iran will wipe them clean from the face of the earth. Iran is a powerful military, not to be messed with. It's a great civilization, highly civilized people, very smart, very intelligent, and a wonderful culture, far superior than what we have in the West. So this is where Harper jumps on the bandwagon. So he is now laying the groundwork for other nations to recall their citizens and their diplomats and prepare for the Third World War. And it is going to happen. And truthfully, we do have a new Prime Minister, and his name, perhaps we always did, and we didn't know it, and his name is Benji Netanyahu. And the US has a president, and his name is Benji Netanyahu, and he's the most dangerous, despicable bastard on the face of the earth. He has slaughtered tens of thousands of people, children, women, and men in Palestine and Gaza. This, of course, has to all do with the building of a new world order. You know, Bush's new world order, but it wasn't really Bush's idea. That's an old idea, very old idea, perhaps hundreds of years old, but it has been presented by the Zionist people. Zionist. Now there's another word. Zion, Zionist. I always thought that a Zionist was a noble person, a good person, a giving person, a kind-hearted person, and that when a Zionist lived their life, when they passed on, they would go to this place called Zion, just like for Christians to a heaven, or for the Vikings to Valhalla. But I was wrong again. In fact, they are the lousiest, dirtiest bunch of murdering bastards on the face of the earth. They have the world almost in complete control. All the banks of the world, all the media, the newspapers, the televisions are governed by the Zionists. Zionism has nothing to do with Judaism. Although there may be some Jews that are Zionists, but there are just as many Christians that are Zionists. And these are warmongers, powermongers. So the writing is on the wall. This is what I see. This is my opinion, but by the looks of things, it's also millions of other people's opinion. They too see the writing on the wall. This Netanyahu of Israel, this leader of a bunch of thugs that run that country, Ehud Barak, I think he's the twit of the fence, and the other idiot, Omelette, Egghead, Olmert, Ulmer, sorry, yeah, that guy. These are killers. They have slain so many people in Palestine and Gaza, and they have taken joy at watching children starve, and still do to this day. They really should have the Nazi flag instead of the Star of David above their, whatever they call it, the Knesset, their ruling house. You remember that in 2002, Israel decided, with the backing of Canada and the US and Little Britain, decided to go to Lebanon and beat the crap out of the Lebanese and take over that land, take over Beirut. And once they had accomplished that, then they would spread out into other countries. This was the building of the Zionist Empire. Well, they went up to Lebanon with their warships and their tanks and their air force, and they bombed the hell out of that city, and they slaughtered thousands of people. Of course, when they finished dropping all their bombs, they sent in the ground forces, that great, tough military machine of Israel, those brave, brave men who love killing babies, defenseless women, particularly pregnant women, because it's 2 for the price of 1. So they get a good deal out of that one bullet, don't they? Well, anyway, that's not exactly what happened at all, because there is an army. And the army consisted of only perhaps 1,000 men. But it was the best trained army in the world. HEZZBOLAH waited for them, and they killed a lot of them, wounded a lot of them, and it shocked Israel. They thought they were just going to go in there and take over, but this army, HEZZBOLAH, which means the army of God, was extraordinarily trained, tough men. So after 4 years, of licking their wounds, they decided to go back again to Lebanon. So they went in fully prepared. I mean, they made preparations. And they went in with the most up-to-date modern tank in existence, the world's best. And they bragged about this tank. It was made in Israel. And what the Israelis didn't know is that HEZZBOLAH got their hands on the anti-tank weapon that could destroy that icon of a tank of Israel's. And so they made their attack, usually after bombing Beirut and Lebanon and killing thousands of children and women again. They just, this is what they do, the bastards, eh? And they sent in their ground forces to clean up and mop up and kill more people, but HEZZBOLAH was waiting for them. And they destroyed them. They destroyed half of their tanks, killed hundreds of their men, wounded thousands of them, and they ran back again to their mammies and daddies, licking their wounds, and really licking their wounds, because they got the hell kicked out of them. So what did they do? They bombed all of Gaza, I don't know, for 33 days, 34 days. They butchered 1,500 people. The guys in the tanks sought out whole families and tried to kill the whole family with one shell. If families of Palestinians were along the beaches, the warships would fire a shell, killing the whole family. It was a sport with the sick bastards. The result is, of course, that now Netanyahu says that, well, Iran, they're building this nuclear warhead, and we're worried. Well, he should be worried, because he's going to get the crap kicked out of them very shortly. And not by a nuclear warhead. Iran can obliterate them in 5 or 10 minutes, certainly a few days. But he needs the USA. He wants to draw these countries into this war. And when it's all over, he hopes he's still alive with the other pack, that they can govern things in the world, because by then, well, they'll have full control of all the oil fields in the world. They will have full control of all the diamonds in the world. And did you know that in Afghanistan, the reason why they're over there murdering people in Afghanistan is because there are trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars worth of precious stones underneath the soil of Afghanistan. It has nothing to do with anything else. We're led and fed like sheep. So, Harper expelled the Iranian diplomats with his limp excuse and recalled the Canadians. And the Third World War is on the way. I really wish I had good news for you. I don't like this, but the writing is on the wall. I don't think there's anything we can do. It's just in motion, and it's going to be happening. It's also been predicted for hundreds of years. I've been following it very closely for the past 2 years, almost every day. And this is what I see. And it's not long to the future that this is really going to happen. We will all be affected by it. And when they're over there slaughtering all those children, and women and men, and destroying the planet in general, chemicalizing the whole earth with their dirty, filthy, rotten bombs, the stupid bastards, and millions are dead. It will make the last World War and Hitler look like a playing field, a picnic, because we will all suffer from it. This is Harper of Canada, Obama of the US, and whatever they call the other guy in Little England, I think his name is Brown, and this Netanyahu, this killer of babies. They are the most disgusting mob on the face of the earth. I lost my fear so I can speak out against these disgusting things that obviously run things in the world, because I accepted the truth as it is happening, and I felt that at least I can do is try to speak up and speak out against this dirt that is about to bring hell for the people on this planet. They are I would like to use stronger language, but they are no goddamned good. They came out of a place called hell to create hell, and that's where they're going back when they finish their filthy work. We all need luck, lots of it, and pray for the people of Palestine and Gaza. They suffer every day. They are dehumanized. And by the way, did you know that the Israelis' term for a Palestinian or a Gazan is a dog, a mongrel, or an animal, but not a human being? In the very words of the mayor of Jerusalem, who happens to be Jewish, by the way, or a Zionist, he says that he would have the greatest pleasure of putting a gun to the head of the last Palestinian and blowing it into oblivion. Can you imagine living under such, whatever they are? And they live with that every day. Good luck. You're going to need it. So am I.